We start the garden tour with the loofah plants that I started from seed about a month ago. I planted a couple plants by the chicken coop, and those things will take over your garden, so be careful where you plant them. Here is a shot of two of the 10-gallon grow bags. The first one is the pepper, and of course I always add a marigold whenever I plant peppers. And the next one is tomatoes. They're small, compact plants, and a marigold in between. But I love those grow bags, and you can see the 20-gallon grow bags that came in. And we're going to have a couple closer pictures, and I'll tell you what, those things are huge. And depending on the soil that you put in there, they are quite heavy as well, but they are movable. And if you're a weaker person that can't pick them up, somebody can always give you a hand. There are two handles, and those things are durable. I moved them in the garden full with soil, and it was wet soil at that. It's a rain day today, so I couldn't do much in the garden, but today, being it is a rain day, is the perfect time to plant. And you can see the second batch of peppers that I put in the ground, and you'll see the protectors that I put on top so you don't poke your eye. Now there's a sunchoke that I put in the 5-gallon grow bag, and I planted that probably close to a month ago. It's finally starting to sprout. And there's the first two peppers that I put in the grow bags when I did the garden bag review for 5-gallon grow bags. And there's tomatoes that I put in a few days back after I did the garden extension. Those things are off to a great start. And followed up with another couple rows of peppers. And you can see the theme of my garden. I love peppers. Every year I always put more than I actually should. And here's the main garden, the oldest garden bed. It's about 5 or 6 years old. And you can see onions in there, also blackberries to the left, and plenty of carrots and shallots. You can see shallots are picking up. And then in the center is garlic. And that garlic's just about ready to harvest. And I just scattered the seeds when there was snow on the garden for the carrots. And then the romaine, same thing. I just peppered around where it wants to go. It grows. And that I started still when I was, I think it was close to 30 degrees when I planted it. But you can start it outside. I never start lettuces and any cold crops in the house. I always start them right in the ground. Same thing with the snow peas. The snow peas are off to a real great start, and I had to reinforce the bamboo on either side and then the twine. That way it gives it some place to climb up. That's one of 3 spots that I have the sugar snap peas, the winter peas, and we did a video on starting peas, and that's the result so far. Another shot of the romaine, and romaine is off to a good start. And here's the other garden that I started last year. It's one of the newer beds, and the first planting of peppers. And the pepper plants themselves have actually doubled in size. And you can also see the snap peas. They're growing up the trellis. And I also have a couple of the exotic cucumbers that once the snap peas grow, I'm going to pull them out. But they're good because they're putting nitrogen back into the soil, as are the clover that's also in there. And you can see I use bamboo. It's a a product of my parents' yard, and it takes over your yard. So every year I have to cut it, and I always have plenty, and I utilize it for stability for all the peppers and tomatoes that I put in. It's cheap byproduct. You can see the big apple tree and the background, and the one that I got for, I think it was $2 on clearance at Lowe's, has had I forget what they call that stuff. It's a pillowy, ashy kind of insect, and I control it with neem oil, and you'll see me in a minute spraying it down. It's a form of scale, I believe. But neem oil seems to keep it in check. And for whatever reason, the tree that I got on clearance for $2 at the end of the year at Lowe's was broken. And that's why they clearanced it out. so cheaply. So I figured I'd give it a shot, throw it in the garden. And there you can see zucchini plants. And they've done quite well. There you can see it. Right there is that scale. Pillowy scale, maybe. I forget what they call it. But there's the neem oil. And you'll see me spray it. And it instantly covers it. And it'll smother out that scale. And here's a shot of the pear tree. The pears are doing really well this year. I've got a lot on there. And hopefully the apples will do just as good. There's the front bed. And that's got the peppers. That's just another view. And you can see the 20-gallon grow bags in the front. They're still not full. I have the giant pumpkins in the one and then zucchini in the rest. And I'm giving it a shot, trying it out, see how they work out with zucchini. Last year, the 5-gallon grow bags did well, but I think they'll do a lot better with more garden soil. And of course, you have to amend the soil that you put in those grow bags. And it should be 50% garden soil and compost and 50% potting soil, a high-quality potting soil. And then you can see a front view of both of the garden beds. And then my favorite, oh my goodness, figs. There's nothing like fresh figs off of the tree in the summertime. This is the first year that I've been able to get figs on the tree at the beginning of the season. Mostly I get them in fall, but these trees are supposed to produce early, and they do twice a year. And you can see they're doing quite well, the figs now. They're about the size of a quarter. Some are a little smaller. But I also noticed there's some kind of caterpillar getting to the leaves, so I don't like spraying, but I will use BT, which is 100% natural, and it shouldn't cause any issues. And there's my other fig tree. Didn't think that was going to do well this year, but actually it's done quite well. It's about 5 years old. I keep cutting it back, and you'll see the figs on it. It's probably got 3 or 4 in one clump. There they are there. And that was a surprise to me that it was actually producing early in the season. Normally it's later. And there's the grow beds on the sidewalk side. And I also put a 20-gallon grow bag there, and Mexican daisies in the back, and then one of them giant pumpkins in the front. I'm going to try it in the front yard. Hopefully the deer won't get it. And another garden bed. And you can see that cocoa core product, and it looks very nice when it's down. And it does take a lot of water to soak it down. And we'll see how that works out. And there's the cherry trees. And that about wraps up the garden tour of May, first week in May. And please subscribe and follow us around. And we got a lot of great stuff on tap for you. So if you want to watch and be entertained at very least, and you might even learn something. I know I learn something every day. I thank everybody for joining us, and I'll see everybody in the garden. Take care.